For this match, Map Veto, where will we play?
I'm curious to know what these teams opt to go with, because I'd imagine that with Penta's change with the 2 new members, and then of course, let's not forget that Mockit picked up Corey somewhat recently and then picked up Baka Brian as well, that there's got to be some changes that have likely happened here. Oregon is going to be where both these teams go, and that's a pretty fair battleground for both of them.
Yeah, it has been a while since we've seen Oregon played by either team in the regular season. Mockit playing it twice in the first 3 weeks, and Penta playing it just once on the 4th week of the race. So it's been a bit, and there's not going to be a whole lot to get, that we can really use from their past to gauge them on this map. Though Penta has a good success rate, they did manage to beat Millennium of all teams on this map. So we could see this look to lean in their favor, but knowing Oregon, it's honestly likely to be this sort of deal where it's going to be a close one.
Yeah, and I'd imagine that the operator bans, as with a lot of maps, are going to take a pretty big influence here, whether we see a Maestro or Mira ban, whether we see a Thermite or Hibana ban, possibly Maverick as well. We have the community vote for you just to see what you think of this matchup. Penta is obviously an organization that has been around for quite a long time, and I think a lot of people hold that org very near and dear to their hearts, and they sit at 65% to 26%. A bit interesting given that Mockit right now sitting in 3rd has been putting in a pretty decent performance over the latter half of this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same story with Penta. They both have, in the second half of the season, they both have 1 draw and 1 win. So they've been squaring off with their opponents fairly well. This is the make it or break it moment for both teams, I think. And I honestly I'm anticipating this one going to a draw. If I'm looking at this match, the teams the way that they've been playing, it seems like draw material. And considering that both teams drew against Chaos in their first 2 weeks of this of the second half, they are looking evenly matched. All right, so we're going to load into Oregon, and we will see just what happens. Mockit, who are defending, will be banning first.
I mean, both of these teams do have operators. I'm looking more actually towards Penta's roster in operators that end up getting counter-banned. Lion getting banned out by Mockit, first things first, against Penta, so interesting there. A lot of teams have been banning Lion as well as Ying as deliberate counterbans against Penta because of the way they play. That's going to free up Penta's attack to a certain extent, and we'll see what they go to for their ban. Not unusual for teams to take a couple extra seconds, but running down almost the full timer here for Penta as they seem to be deliberating over exactly who they're going to ban. They're going to take Dokkaebi out, not allowing Mockit to run that Dokkaebi combination. I mean, with no Lion and no Dokkaebi, that's a lot of relief that's going to be applied to the defense.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make it a lot easier to play the position you want to play with relative ease, as the attack has lost a lot of that indirect, just automatic power that they would otherwise have. But on to the defensive bans, and we'll see where they will fall short. Mira, of course, going to be banned out. We don't see many matches where she manages to make it through, though they do exist. On a map like Oregon, it's even less common, however, as banning her will make the basement defense significantly less formidable. Likewise with Smoke. So that basement hold going to be a little bit more difficult than it otherwise would have been. You still have operators like Echo and Maestro in play, though.
I mean, it's very strange to see Smoke get banned, let's be honest. He doesn't really occupy a ban slot against most teams. I mean, I think even so, after he got his SMG changed, a little bit more difficult to control that SMG, the secondary sidearm that he has available to him. And I think there's a lot of players who aren't exactly the most confident with it. So, I mean, it is a bit of a surprise to see him get marked as one of the bans, but
he will be taken out regardless.
I was going to say, even more interesting here was that Penta looked to be running with the sole hard breacher of Maverick. Not really Maverick's job, per se. They'll wisely switch off to take a Thermite instead. But, I mean, Hibana is open. And she's very, very powerful on this site in particular because you've usually got 3 hatches that you need to take care of. You can also possibly deal with any of the walls through that main hatch if you need to. I mean, obviously not. There's going to be a mirror in play, but it's going to be something to look at how Penta rolls this Thermite out in particular. Likely just going to go for that main hatch, and then probably one inside of the meeting hall. Not really much of a rush opportunity for Penta, though they could possibly go for it with the Sledge, Zofia, and Ash. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult when there's no Lion and no Dokkaebi on the board to try and get a proper rush strat out.
The lineup does favor a rush strategy, but I don't see it as likely. We've seen a couple of those recently in Pro League that just have not really bore fruit, so very likely to see more calculated push here. Looks like it's going to be construction as the focus for Penta, which is a sensible push given their operator lineup. Thermite going to be much more favored on opening up the construction wall than he would be in opening up the main lobby drop. However, this wall has been left unreinforced, which is going to leave free reign for Zofia, Ash, and Sledge once they figure that out. Penta's going to be moving their way. I believe they've droned it. They'll be moving their way over here now with that information in mind.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
So, with the defense, they'll run the Echo Maestro combo to make up for the fact that there is no Mira and there is no Echo, which makes a lot of or there is no smoke, rather. Makes an awful lot of sense here is Baka Brian, whose name doesn't fit and couldn't really go with Brian due to the fact that
it's too big.
Well, we got a Brian already in North America.
Yeah, I'm immensely glad he decided to go with Baka instead of Brian, but Corey, the first kill of the match. Panics goes down. Vale has been downed as well, but not finished off, and he will be picked up by his teammate, likely Corey, the hero of that situation.
So they'll get to him and bring him back to life, which is as good as you could anticipate from that situation. Though Vale won't get an opportunity to get picked up a second time. Revan there will be able to find the kill for Penta and will equalize us as both members of the SAS have fallen. So that's all of them for the board. Both a Sledge and a Mute down on either side of the coin. The lone set of frag grenades that were available for Penta are gone. Mute not the worst, though he will lose his C4 with him. And then Corey trying to peek out through the meeting, or just out through the dining hall. This is very aggressive from Mockit.
Yeah, they're looking to set how this match feels, and Dervon is going to punish it. Corey goes down as he just continues to try and peek the Capitale. And now Mockit are going to be fighting against the deficit. Rip's still on the roam over on the west side, and he will be able to apply quite a lot of pressure to that meeting hall if played properly. You can see the other two Mockit defenders are just looking to hold on to the push that is expected from the north tower. They have perfect lines of sight set up in the hallway. Baka going to be the first line of defense here as he starts pre-firing towards Harry Potter. He's got to hold the drop as well, though. The lack of support because of the deaths of his teammates has made his job oh so much more difficult than it needed to be. And the angle that KS is holding is very difficult to work. He will go for a pre-fire and get the kill onto enemy. Excellent job for KS. And from above, Rips the perfect timing for a flank. This is looking great for Mockit so far as KS gets yet another kill. Ravon, the final attacker, and he's got two lit opponents, but there's not enough time. Mockit will take the first round. A nice defense of the basement.
That was I think as tactical as you could have asked for from Mockit there, just shutting things down, especially when you had KS quarterbacking that, playing with that LMG on the Alda, a weapon that is just so strong right now.
Now, Ravon was trying to salvage it. Through the whole round, you saw Ravon was in the perfect position, and he was doing well to start fighting back for Penta, but it just wasn't enough. And Mockit kept the momentum in their corner throughout. Props to them for that. And once they were put up against a wall, they still managed to make it work. Those two anchors down in the basement really doing great work together, of course, being Baka and KS. Now, because Mockit were successful at defending the basement, they will go to the typical secondary site of Oregon, which is that top floor of the dorms.
Pretty common site to go to as your second choice, though we have seen some European teams go towards tower or kitchen to start things off here.
Yeah, it happens.
It's not common. I mean, dorms for a large period of time there, prior to operator bans coming in, when Lion was sitting at about 100% pick rate, we saw dorms being the hot site to go to because it's a little bit more defendable, I think, than the claustrophobic confines of the basement. I mean, it changed so much with operator bans, right? And I mean, especially with Lion not being as prevalent as he used to be. Let's not keep in mind that there was an entire season that was dictated solely by one operator, and
Yeah.
the way that he was able to pin down defenders.
He's still so very powerful, but he's just, yeah, he's definitely not as good as he once was. We could say that. We could say that definitively.
I think he's gone from, like, out of 100, I think he's gone from, like, 160 down to, like, 130, but he's still got 30 points until he hits a perfect 100 out of 100.
Yeah, that's it. No, that's fair. That's a fair gauge.
So he's got a ways to go.
Now, PENTA clearing from the west side. We've seen this attack strategy many times when dealing with the top floor. Clear the west side, you go into the kitchen, you make sure there are no rummers down under the site. And from there, you can work your way up from below, do a lot of vertical damage, and apply pressure to the defenders. Or you can simply start your push up into the site, using the position like north windows. And in order to do north windows, you also have to clear out the tower, which seems to be the objective of PENTA right now. That's a dangerous thing to do, and it takes a lot of time, especially if the defenders are holding it steadfast, though it seems like Mockit is not in this case.
No. Also, one thing I just noticed, PENTA goes with period PENTA now rather than the hyphen PENTA that they used to. Not exactly sure if that was a deliberate choice or not. So, only body inside a meeting hall for Mockit at the moment is Ribs. You see the Vale is upstairs playing by the meeting hall attic rotation. He's just on his belly right now, looking at the cams as Rips takes some damage as he engages in a firefight with Panics. Those two SAS operators, for some reason, just keep coming to loggerheads. Rips will seek the comfort of the kitchen, but Corey is down there with him. So you've got the Pulse, who can possibly sit on that cardiac sensor and be able to give information to Rips if need be. There is time for a reset, but I would imagine that the read is probably, they're a little too close. Let's just stay for now. Thermite charge goes off quite successfully, and you see that the rotate hole up top by Attic, that's Vale sitting and waiting, perched to possibly try and pressure anybody from the attackers who could go through meeting hall, as that Attic rotation, as I said, opened up from the thermite charge.
Yeah. So this is a very standard north balcony, north windows take from PENTA. It looked like it was going to be west side, but no, it's just going to be tower as the focus. Baka will get the first kill onto Ravon, a very powerful member of PENTA dispatched, and they really wanted to have that Capital still in play. The utility alone was a great tool to have, but even more so the frag power that Ravon has been showing so far. But look at this, there's so little time, and we still have 9 members still alive. PENTA are going to have to start the attack soon if they want to have any hope of salvaging this round at this point. Baka in a decent position to catch Hungry off guard if he just goes for the pre-fire, and he will. He will land those shots. PENTA, though, getting so many kills, meanwhile, leaving Chaos in a 1 versus 3. But again, the time working to the defender's favor. The diffuser is going down, but Chaos could potentially stop it. He will get the shots and land every single one of them. Beautiful gunplay from Chaos. And yet again, PENTA, because of their poor time management, will lose a round.
What a marvelous play from KS there. Just completely outfoxing every member of PENTA, who I don't think they knew where KS was located. You mean you had a Thermite watching White Stairs, which is where the sledge came from. Ash going for the plant in the corner of large dorms. That is as shocking as they come. Excellent play by KS.
You know, the curious thing to me is that KS was playing dorms, and that was a north side take. The presence on the north windows when the actual eventual push came was very light. They instead shifted a lot of their focus to the west window and the push through attic. And I get that. It's a little bit more stable. You're not relying on the repel-in, but it also allowed Chaos the maneuverability inside of dorms to wreak all that havoc and get the round win. Ultimately, though, again, I have to attribute the failure for PENTA there to poor time management. You know, if you don't have enough time to plant the diffuser in the dying seconds of a round, then, well, it's a poorly calculated attack.
I mean, you got to give PENTA some credit, though, for the fact that they were able to just beat everybody down, right? There was, what, 4 kills from PENTA came out in the span of 2 to 3 seconds?
Credit, yes, but also a round failure is still a round failure. They did do very well, though, as you say, when trying to clear the site. I mean, if they, imagine, they had 20 more seconds. Well, it's all in the past now, And here in the present, we have a defense of the tower as the third site for Mockit. So, you know, it's kind of just down to the team preference on Oregon. You're either going to go to kitchen or you're going to go to tower as the third. You don't really have any other choice. And some teams prefer one or the other. Here you can see Mockit's preference.
Tower's usually defended in such an interesting way, right? That you typically will see one or two players that will fight deliberately for a retake. You'll usually have somebody playing at the top of tower. Usually can be somebody who can engage in close quarters quite well. Possibly a Pulse, possibly an Ella, something along those lines. Enemy does manage to spot the Bandit on drone and then panics, unable to follow up. And I think they're going to go for a reinforcement here. Excellent timing, but doesn't pull it off in time. Enemy able to shut down Rips. That was a smart play. We've seen that a couple times in Pro League where the defenders try to seal off the rotate hole. Biggest problem is now Mockit have buried themselves in deep because they don't really have a chance to go up there and reinforce that panel as all eyes from Penta are just staring right at it.
You can see because of that, there's a bit of a standoff here between a number of the attackers and defenders. C4 will miss its mark. Not the best timing. The cameras are in place to give out information, but the call was made poorly. And because of that, Penta are going to feel a little bit of a alleviation to the pressure they were obviously dealing with from that Valkyrie. In the main lobby, Hungary is going to open up the castle barricade, allowing even more pressure to be pushed onto the defenders who are attempting to hold this entrance. It's not going to be an easy task for the Jaeger of KS, but he's been known to do it before.
You've got Vale and KS both posted up inside a meeting, and they're playing very aggressively here. This is the way that you have to be able to contest tower, is that you got to make sure that you kill as much time as possible. And so far, as you noted, Penta hasn't had the best time management. Bunch of utilities going to be dumped in from the Zofia and some flashbangs as KS looks away and just narrowly misses the head of Zofia as Hungary pushes in. Enemy's going to be rewarded with a second kill. Look at this! KS can't get it! He'll hit the Claymore, but Hungary goes down and KS is still alive. Enemy will pick up his third kill. The Thermite right now just simply fragging out. Corey will be last man up as Baka is down, and this is going to be tough positioning for the Alibi. Whether he's going to be able to go for the pickup or not, it's anyone's guess, but there's Sir Boss to ensure that the vault from Corey is not going to go anywhere at all. Easy read for the Ash. That's the first round on the board for Penta, gifted in large part by the site being less defendable for the defenders, but still, overall a great take, and Enemy in particular really showed up that round big.
Yeah, and what a mess of a round as well over by the meeting hall entrance. You could see that it was a big focus for Penta, and Mockit almost salvaged that. If KS had simply shot his opponents, it probably would have gone in Mockit's favor. He was on the verge of a triple kill there. Opportunity missed, though. Damage done, but not nearly as much as potential that was laying out in front of him. Now, Penta have been looking very good. As you talked about in that second round, they did absolutely destroy Mockit when they went for the push once they actually got to go for the push. So, as much as it's been, slower attacks for Penta, when they can get into the rough and tough of it and the actual fight, Penta seems to be the favored team. Now, Mockit's going to get to go back to the basement because we've got that 3-round transpire now. And after being successful down here, they will get to try it once more. After they play this site, whether they're successful or not, they can also go to the top floor should they choose. An important thing to note is, of course, those mute jammers being placed on the drop-down. However, luckily for Penta, they had the foresight to bring a Thatcher, and it should not hurt them too much that they'll have to deal with those mute jammers.
Is this the first time that we're seeing a Thatcher come out for Penta as well? That's a good read if that's the case for them in order to bring it, because I can't recall them running a Thatcher previously.
Either way, a good read.
Last time that we saw this round, this site in particular for Penta, Mockit was all over the field. Runouts, taking pressure off of their anchors by playing inside of that meeting hall, playing inside of the dining hall. And Penta just didn't really seem to have an answer to it. It left Revan in a 1v2 with no diffuser. And even though he did get 3 kills for his team in that round, it was really all in vain. So I'm going to watch for Mockit's ability to once again create that space for their site players. Good roaming so far from Mockit has really paid dividends, and KS almost able to pounce upon Penta in that last round before running out of ammo and getting hit by the Claymore and getting down. So what are they going to be able to put together this time as Panix works in through the inside of master bedroom, heads towards attic, and it's going to just break the floor open and wait. So there's going to be at least some presence for Penta as they look down towards the garage, or through the basement, my apologies.
Yeah, they're just mostly focused right now seemingly on making sure they don't need to deal with any of those roamers. But speaking of, Vale will land an excellent shot onto Panix, who attempts to push his way into the attic. Almost landing another shot there onto an opponent through the wall, but not so lucky. Rips will eat some damage, so he will likely be reset further into the round. But for now, just trying to hold on to the meeting hole as long as possible. Hungry gets Vale, so the mute that was in place to support Rips no longer there, and without that support structure, he's likely to fall back quite a lot sooner. However, he has instead chosen to stay strong on the sandbag's position. This is a mistake, as we've seen in the past many times. If a simple nade can be thrown, his position can be dealt with. Now the nades are gone, but the firebolts are still in play if Ravon should choose to use them. However, Penta's focus seems to have shifted entirely to attacking the main lobby. They are just going to isolate the roamers for now and focus on their objective.
You've still got Hungry droning through as Ravon, I think, wisely realizes that the push needs to come from the bottom of those stairs, so he'll rotate down, tries to head towards the site. Rips, who's been very low on HP, credited with a kill on Sir Boss, taking out the Ash.
Attackers have recovered
Sir Boss, no slouch whatsoever, as Rips has invaded that attic. You still got Corey playing over by sandbags, as you mentioned. He's in a good flank position here. He could possibly go through the main lobby, as there's going to be a yokai drone guiding him. Baka gets the yokai drone down, but there's smoke in amidst it. The plant going off. I don't know if they got it in time. It does sound like it. Rips will be credited with his second kill, and Penta's falling apart. There is flank watch, and that's enemy. He'll pick 2 big kills onto Corey and Rips, but yokai drone is up. Information going to be continuously traded out, and the plant will need to go down. Baka is there to do it all himself. Once again, Penta, just those defenses from Mockit being a tough nut to crack, and they can't plant in those final few seconds without getting torn to pieces. 3-1 in favor of Mockit, and they head to their last defense.
Great play there from the Echo of Baka, able to delay that round significantly and played the objective to a T. Props to him, and because of that, Mockit able to have a very successful defensive half so far. Now that they get to go to the top floor, it seems like they could theoretically end this in a 4-1 lead based on their history. The big changes that Penta need to bring in here on this attack is to just be a little bit swifter. Once they get into the fights, we talked about this earlier, once Penta gets into the fights, they start winning. However, they seem to have trouble actually getting to that point, and especially struggling with the time management. So, they're going to have to change that if they want to have success here. Mockit, on the other hand, have read the situation well and seemingly are playing very passively, just waiting for the opportunities to present themselves. And if they can do that one more round, and if Penta doesn't ramp it up a little bit, then we are definitely going to see this end in a 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Mockit's roamers are doing such a good job of creating space and killing time. I don't know if it's just simply Penta not being able to get the right drone calls that are needed to figure out exactly where Mockit is, but the fact that Rips is able to rotate out of meeting hall up to attic while there's no coverage on him whatsoever to get a pick and then a second pick is huge. And leaving Corey inside a meeting, you lack the comms and calls of your drone, so much so that when it's a 2v4, you still need to keep somebody on flank watch, which was the Thermite, because you don't know where people are. That just shows to me right now that Penta is having a lot of difficulty being able to nail down exactly what's going on with Mockit's roamers.
Yeah, and in that last round, to touch on what you were talking about, I mean, it seemed like Penta was trying to clear meeting hall, and then abruptly in the middle of that process, they stopped. Well, there were still 2 roamers inside of Meeting Hall. So, not a clear understanding being presented to the entire Penta roster, and that transition and that call did end up costing them quite a bit. Though in this round, Penta already droning out the roamer of Vale inside of Kitchen. His position has been called, and the nade seemingly being prepped by Panics. It will land perfectly aimed by the sledge of Panics. And Penta already start things off early with a lead. The mark on the top of White Stairs, we were talking about the droning from Penta not being great. And here you go. That's that wonderful coordination bearing fruit. And already a 2-man lead for Penta. Mockit playing a little bit more open than they usually have. Or is it possibly just Penta seemingly a lot more sharp? KS, a push down the White Stairs, is going to catch the flank of one of his opponents. That's Serbas. Ravon doing what he has been doing throughout this match, managing to get a kill all by himself. But because of that flank onto the IQ, this is not all over yet.
That was some sloppiness on Mockit's part on their roam, and it was a bit of an ability for Penta to be able to jump on the vulnerabilities and weaknesses that they saw from Mockit. I think it was more so that Mockit took a little bit too much of an aggressive take there on the Penta, knowing that they did have such a big advantage. I think trying to break Penta's back, but could have ended up being a wrong call here. As I mean, look at Penta right now. They are firmly in the driver's seat, but don't discredit the fact that Dorms tends to be, as we've mentioned so many times, that one site where the defense can do such a great job, especially when outnumbered and pinned down. Through the floor, Hungary, trying to get some Candelas off, but there's KS in beautiful position to shred him. You've also got Rips now trying to take an engagement, and he's going to miss. Oh no, he hits the deck at the wrong time. He just can't simply make it work. KS, his second kill. This is a big opportunity. Rips will be able to give information if need be. He's just got Revan right in front of him, and there go the smoke bolts. KS waiting for a jump in through the big window. Ping's going out, and there goes the plant. KS is going to sprint right through. He's going to miss a pre-fire so close to landing it onto the Capitao, but will give his position away. KS! A beautiful shot on the Panics. He just needs to find the Capitao, and there's the ping! Can KS go for the clutch? A second time for KS? Are you kidding me? Mockit steal this one away when they had no right. KS coming up huge. Twice now, 4-1 as we switch sides. Oh my.
Look at that beautiful information for the defense there, for Mockit, allowing KS to just hit the shots we all know he's capable of hitting. And it was a beautiful clutch indeed. Because of that, the momentum that Penta seemed to be accumulating after that excellent teamwork that managed to net them the first 2 kills of the round has evaporated before our very eyes. And now, as Penta transitions to defense, they're going to have to work some miracles if they want to come back in this match. Mockit ending the first half with a very decisive lead. Laundry Supply Room, the first site for Penta. And based on the fact that Mockit only lost the offside of Tower, they're looking very strong right now.
Pretty incredible to think of how this needs to go. Mute gets brought out on a 6-pick from Penta. No Thatcher for Mockit. That could possibly be a hindrance, but they're going to double up with both a Thermite and a Hibana, which means that they should be able to get that front wall open onto the hatch. Being drawn to our attention, KS sitting at 12 kills for the time being.
He's having a match and a half.
I would say so. Absolutely consuming Penta at every opportunity with that alibi. And MX Storm is... goes to show you a pretty decent gun.
Yeah, Alibi does see a decent chunk of play, and it's similar to Vigil, where she's being played. You've got the impacts. You've got a shotgun. You've got an excellent weapon. You're a 3-speed. Utility be darned. I mean, you've got so much power outside of the actual gadget that you can dictate the flow of a round. So, Penta on the basement. They are going to be using that reinforced wall to put an Evil Eye on in lieu of a mirror window, as she is banned out. And the rest of the setup seemingly going to be focused on some roamers in the meeting hall, as we were seeing Mockit do very much the same thing. Though Mockit, in this round, as they attack, are going to be very aggressively opening up the construction wall from blue. KS doesn't seem to be keen on pushing it immediately, but he has managed to make the option presented.
They could have capitalized if he really wanted to, but KS also looked like he was on his own holding that diffuser.
Yep.
If he pushed into blue, or tarps, or bunker, however you want to call it, and he gets felled in that position, drops that diffuser, that puts his team in a bit of a bind having to go back and get it. So I think that was the right call, all things considered, as now he's just going to be the ultimate support player. And one of the chief fragging operators in Zofia gone, and then the Hibana also dropped as both Vale and Rips will bite the dust. Penta playing very, very well here. Corey inside a meeting hall playing in the attic above will dispatch enemy. And Mockit is there as well. So you'll get the Ash and the Capitao doing some legwork to take out the Jaeger, but still an advantage in favor of Penta. Very early action. Didn't even take half of the round to see all of that transpire, but what it does is give meeting hall control to Mockit. That's pretty big, though, at the cost of 2 operators. Not always worth it.
Corey's got a good angle here to deny rotation in the main hallway, though he can only do a little bit of damage to the legs of his opponents as they attempt to cross. Evil Eyes are well positioned for both potential pushes from Hungry, and the Pulse is still going to be feeding constant information to his teammates, especially surrounding that main lobby. Meanwhile, Serbas's mute jammers are going to delay the drones quite a bit. A nice peek there on the hallway. Corey's going to eat a little bit of damage from the Evil Eye. Also potentially some from the bullets. You can see one defender playing on top of box, but KS is just going to inch his way in and go for a diffuse plant. Corey will eat a lot of damage as he attempts to find the perfect angle to cover his teammate, and he will do that successfully. Diffuser's been planted, but it's all up to KS in a 1 versus 2, and he's going to get an excellent shot onto Ravon right after killing Serbas. But right from above, Panic says the perfect clutch position. Will it be called out? The Vigil utility coming into play here. As he drops, though, his position will be given away. And the perfect shot from KS. He clutches yet another round. And Mockit put themselves up 5-1.
KS ate his Wheaties this morning. Let's say that much.
Oh, boy, yeah.
I want what KS ate this morning for breakfast. I don't know what it is. But the man is just unstoppable now. 3 clutches for KS. Huge play. And it's funny because there were a couple matches this season where KS would disappear from the team and need the rest of the team to really pick up the pace. And now, more than ever, he has shown up. Guaranteed his team at least 1 point. They need to go the full distance and grab all 3 points if they want to try to leap over Secret in the standings today, as Secret plays G2. Not a given that Secret will be able to walk away with a point. But man, the addition of both Corey and Baka, though at the beginning did look like it was a bit of a setback for Mockit in comparison to their old roster, this team is just firing on all cylinders right now. 15 kills for KS over 6 rounds, while the rest of his team has a combined 10. Yeah, that's pretty good. Meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, Enemy has 9 kills and his team only has 1 round to show for it.
Yeah.
Bit of a frustrating performance for the rest of his team, but Pentas, I'm assuming, still trying to figure things out with this new roster. Not quite as adept at making the changes to immediately be successful. Unlike Mockit, who right now are sitting on match point and are poised to possibly make this a very fast map.
I will say that getting kills, having success on an individual level, and even on a team level in terms of just frags, and then also losing those rounds over and over and over, which is what Penta, that's the position they're in right now. It's a very frustrating experience. It really does grind you down. So a lot of this match, from here on out, is going to come down to whether or not Penta can recover mentally, because they're definitely not going to be in a great spot right now after what we just saw transpire. Now, Mockit only need to win 1 of the next 4 rounds in order to get a victory here. They have, as we know, guaranteed themselves a draw. Oh, no. But that is just such a bad start to a round for Penta. And Mockit, I don't even know if that was deliberate for a kill. There did not appear to be a mark. The information was clearly called out to Corey, but possibly just to push the Jaeger out of Armory, it managed to net a kill. And now Mockit have control of the position that they coveted.
Not only control of Armory, but look at all these walls that have been opened up here trying to take dorms. This is huge for Mockit to find themselves in this position. PENTA turning in probably one of their sloppiest performances since putting this new roster together. And I mean, you can't be particularly happy with the way things are looking right now. A great shot from Baka as enemy tries to go for a cross peek through the tower. And I mean, Baka's going to take a lot of damage, but he gets the kill where he needs it. That's on the enemy who's going to be on cam duty. Rips almost gets Revan and then Will, leaving just Sir Boss and Hungry in a 2v4. And this is all Mockit all the way. Clash with her back turned to Sir Boss. They're both lined up and stacked in the same direction. She'll drop her shield for just a second. And trying to nail the shots is Rips. He's going to soften up Hungry, but cannot capitalize. Trying to figure out where Sir Boss is playing, as they'll try and concuss the clash, and a great double effort, leaving just Sir Boss last alive. He's going to swing for the fences and swing, Sir Boss, swing, but he'll come up empty-handed. That was one heck of a stomp.
Oh boy.
Mockit 6-1. They clean house.
Well, I was wrong. I figured this was going to go all the way to the 10th round, no matter what happened in the end. But no, it was just an absolute Mockit show. And KS in particular really stealing the spotlight. You can see dropping 15 kills. Very impressive. And a fast match, too. Not only was that a 6-1, but each of those rounds from Mockit on attack were extremely fast. There was only 2 of them. And a great deal of the Penta plays were quick. However, they didn't tend to play out the entire clock.